Wow, this is a big get. This is like a superstar. I mean, you're above the A list for this show.
A plus plus.
A
is that
plus
right?
plus.
Well, you're too kind.
Well, this is great. We're going to try and make this about an hour, but I don't know how we're going to get it all in. I've got a bunch of questions for you, but
I don't see any written down.
I feel like I'm on the clock.
You're on with me.
I'm
yes,
on the clock.
You're on the clock.
You're leaving May 9th.
Yes.
And you made a promise to me.
I did.
I don't know if you remember it. It was years ago. You said if I get a 10th hole in one,
Yes.
that you would do a whole story on me on the air.
I did say that.
And I'm at 9. And so what's today? The 9th. So I
Yes.
have like 30 days
You have yes.
to get a hole in one. I've never been under that kind of pressure.
Can you perform?
Man, I was thinking, and I've come close, but and I've always thought she is the first person I'm going to call when I get it. But
Hope so.
now
I can still do a guest appearance on WLNS
you
TV6.
can?
Oh, yes. Definitely.
well, let's talk about you a little bit. You were born in Ravenna, Michigan.
Yes.
Where the hell is that?
That
I mean, I've been all over this state of Michigan, but I've never. Don't tell me it's in the thumb.
No, it's opposite the thumb. It's on the west side.
Oh, really? The good part.
Yeah,
Where?
the good part. So head west, past Grand Rapids,
Right.
heading toward Mesquite, Grand Haven, Spring Lake. But there's a detour that you need to take at the Coopersville exit.
Oh, right.
Head north 15 minutes, and there's Ravenna.
So north of the highway there at the Coopersville.
Correct.
And you went to Ravenna High?
Yes, the small little country school.
And born in Ravenna, at probably or the Grand Rapids Hospital. And,
Butterworth at the time.
right, and you have siblings?
One sister in Florida.
Yeah, see, we couldn't pull any of that up from the
Oh, no, I'm
deep
top
dive
secret.
that we did on you. And mom and dad raised you in Ravenna? Mm-hmm.
My dad was a small business owner. He owned a Ravenna lumber company.
There you go.
And my cousin still, his father owned it. My dad owned it. And he had girls. One went into teaching and one went into television. So his nephews are running the business and their sons.
And what about your mom?
My mom was an executive secretary at General Motors and then was a secretary. She was a stay-at-home mom for a while. And then she went back into the corporate world as an executive secretary.
And growing up in high school, were you involved in sports at all?
Oh, yes, I
Were
was.
you?
I ran track. I played basketball in middle school, but otherwise I was a cheerleader.
Well,
And I was in band.
There's a little bit of a tension there, but I'm trying to figure out, like, when you're growing up in high school, do you think I want to make a commitment to news and be a leader in, like, a local news anchor that everybody looks to? I mean, who in your life inspired you at a young age? And maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a decision you made at Michigan State.
Well, that's a great question, Andrew, because
I have a few of them.
Okay. At the time when I was in high school, there was no internet, right? We didn't have
Right.
anything like that. But my mom, both my
It was
parents
right
are.
before the internet
It
when
was.
you were
Thanks.
in high school.
Thank you so much. We're college educated. So my mom wanted me to do an aptitude test. So she graduated from Western. So I went to Western and spent the day and did an aptitude test, a personality test. And it came back, Andrew, lawyer or journalist.
Wow. Similar.
Very.
Similar. Trying to get the facts and report and understand where they come from and go to original sources, right?
Exactly.
Everything that a good lawyer does.
That's
They don't really
exactly.
teach you that in law school, but
And so I thought, okay, I loved current events. I loved performing. I loved writing. That thrilled me, right?
Right.
So I thought I'll start in the television industry and see it's very competitive and maybe short-lived,
but
and then
is-
I can go back and get my law degree.
is that in high school?
It was like
So high school, you take those texts, but nobody
Yeah.
ever takes those serious, you know.
Well, I did.
If I would have, I don't know what I'd be. I'd probably be a general laborer someplace, maybe a caddy. I don't know.
Maybe a caddy. That sounds right.
And so, you end up going to Michigan State, right? And I don't know, is it the number one communication school? If it's not, it's in the top 2 or 3, right?
It is, yes.
And
I
you-
got accepted at Michigan also, though. I got accepted at Michigan and Michigan
Well, if
State.
you got into Michigan State, you probably got into Michigan.
Yeah. Oh, you're brutal. You're brutal.
I got into Michigan too, just so
Well, you
it's
know
clear.
what? Yeah, but I mean, I looked at their program, but it was more a business program than a journalism program.
Communications.
Correct.
Right.
Business communications. So I chose Michigan State. I came to Michigan State. I love Michigan State. I loved how I felt.
Do I understand you lived in Wonders Hall or not?
No, I actually lived in Holden.
Holden, okay.
Did you live in Wonders?
I did, but so I was there in the mid '80s. So '83 I was in Case Hall. '84 I was in Wonders.
Okay.
And for a short time, and I lived in Brody.
Oh, you did? Before Brody was cool.
Way before Brody was cool. Way before. I think I signed up to live in the dorms like in August.
Oh, okay.
Like
3 weeks
before school started. They said, we don't have any room for you, but we'll put you over here with a bunch of other kids. But so I was in those two dorms.
Yeah,
but
South Campus. It was fun.
Yeah,
great place.
Where all the athletes were.
Right,
And
good
it seemed
food.
like, why would anybody want to go to the east side?
I agree
right?
with you. And now look at that huge, incredible IM complex they're building.
I know it's all still amazing, but you're in communications at Michigan State, and you obviously graduate, and when you start out in the news business back then, they had the value of paying you like peanuts.
Yes, I worked 2 jobs.
Okay.
Yeah. I was on the morning radio for WMMQ,
Did
which
that
is
pay?
No. So I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. I did the morning radio, the morning
Right.
drive as the newswoman there, from 5 until 10, and then I would come home and sleep for about 3 hours, and then I would go to the television station at night, get done at 11, come home and sleep for 3 hours, go back to the to the
man.
radio. I did that for a year. I slept 3-hour chunks at a
And
time.
did you have a job with Channel 6?
It was
in college?
part-time. I was an intern.
Oh, okay.
So when I got out after the internship, I actually went to Grand Rapids and worked in radio in Grand Rapids for WCUZ. And listen to this. I did news. Dan Dickerson did sports.
Oh, man.
And now he's the voice of the Tigers, right?
Right,
It's
right.
crazy. So so then I knew that I could do radio. I love radio. Like, I love podcast. I love what you're doing here. Just
that's
it's
great.
awesome.
Well, we need to work on it.
And so I actually made more money on radio than I did on TV. I made $17,000 on the radio and
But you have a
$13,000.
face for TV, though.
thank
I mean, you.
So do you.
Well, I don't know. I have a face for maybe radio and a voice for silent movies or something.
Stop. But anyway, so I had to work 2 jobs to make, to pay your car, your
Right,
rent, your
right,
food, your
right.
clothes. I'm on TV. I need clothes. I makeup, all this stuff. So,
Yeah, and that was sort of the era of, like the movies like Wall Street and Scarface, and all your friends are like making money.
lots of it.
Yeah, and they're successful, and you're doing your thing.
But the
right?
interesting part is, no matter if we were at a table or at a function, everyone wanted to know what do you do? Tell me about that. It's the coolest
Right,
thing. What have you
right.
done? And so it was always the topic of conversation. But I never did it for the money. Never. Otherwise I would have left, Andrew. I would have made a couple $1 million here and there in Seattle, New York,
Right.
Chicago. I didn't. I chose to stay here, raise my family here, and build something here.
So you're working 2 jobs, and
That's at like
and-
23 years old.
Yeah, which is not the end of the
23,
world.
24.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, even back then, there's still this: you got to get married, and you got to have a job, and you got to blah blah blah. And
Get a house.
different today, where you can take a gap year,
Right.
right?
Wouldn't that have been nice?
Right. So, but if you're working at Channel 6, right? Jane Aldrich is there, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if Dave Ackerley
He
is
was.
there.
He was.
Okay.
But he was doing sports at the time.
Right. And then who else are the news people?
John Hewitt.
Right.
He works for Ford Motor Company now in their public relations.
Okay.
Yep.
And so you're an intern, and my sense is that interns are a dime a dozen. They come and go, right?
Sure.
Few of them hang on like you, and we've seen good ones come, right? And a lot of them have left, like
Right.
And so, you must have had thoughts of maybe I should move on?
Well, Dan Batchelor, who was our general manager,
Right,
great guy. He
Yeah.
came over to me and goes, Sheri, come to sales. You'll make a lot more
Yeah,
money.
that's true.
Come to sales.
Right.
I'm like, no, Dan, come to sales. And every once in a while, come to sales. He would do that to me. Come right over.
You could have
come to
been my
sales.
sales rep.
Yeah, I probably could have. But it wasn't. It was about, telling the news, being in the community, letting people know. My very first day, this will tell you kind of the age that I was. It was supposed to be my first day on the job. I was supposed to just learn, walk around the newsroom,
Right,
take it
right.
all in. The crane crashed into the Breslin Center as it was being built.
So that would have been in, I think that was started in 86.
88. By the
87, 80, yep.
87, 88, and it was being built, and the crane was over the top. And my assignment editor looked around the newsroom, and there was no one but me. He goes, Jones. I go, yeah. He goes, get out there. I'm like, it's my first day. I don't know anything.
yeah.
He goes, you're going live at noon. You got 2 hours. And I mean, it was induction by fire, right?
Right. You got to find somebody to talk to, right?
Oh, yeah.
Not easy at a construction site. It's not like there's somebody saying, talk to me, reporters.
They're like,
right?
don't talk to me. So you look for the white colored hard hat, like the hard hat that looks in, and then you describe what's happened. And I was sweating and I was nervous and I probably stumbled, and that was my first time.
Probably not as bad as you think.
Well,
You probably did great.
I hope so.
And you had some experience, right, with radio. Radio,
Right, teaches you a lot.
yeah, and you're reading scripts, right? I mean, you know how to speak at that point,
Right.
And I'm sure it was great.
Well, I don't know. We could find that tape somewhere. It's in the
They'll
basement.
probably bring it out around the 9th or the 8th and say, remember.
You know what? My general manager at the time was Ross Woodstock,
Right.
And he was my news director, became my general manager, but he really saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at that time, because we started a 5:30 show and they pulled Jane from the 11 to have her do the 5:30, and they made me the 11 o'clock anchor at 24 years old.
So a year later.
Yep, and I've always done the 11 o'clock ever since that age.
Right.
I've never been off that shift. From 2 to midnight is my shift.
And why do you think you've had that much longevity?
The community and people, the trust, the credibility, the trust factor that, because they pay attention to all that. They're surveying, they're rating you. You get ratings. My ratings are very good. Thank you.
Right,
knock on wood. And I have invested myself in the community, but that comes from my parents and grandparents.
For sure you're invested and everybody knows who you are, but you have a private life too. But in regards to your big stories, like over the years, obviously you have the crane incident, but what do you think some of the other big stories were?
Gosh.
A lot of them, right?
A lot of them. Even reporting on,
Yeah, the shooting at Michigan State.
The shooting at Michigan State was huge,
big,
and was
right?
gut-wrenching, because when you go to school there and you have to,
Yeah.
when they did the tribute at the Rock, okay,
Right.
I said I had a couple days to process, and I said I want to go live from the Rock. My news director said, "Do you want to go live?" I said, "Yes, I do." So I had my iPad, my photographer. We did the 5 o'clock news up by the Rock, and then the 6 o'clock news down below. And so kind of near the river looking up at the Rock.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? Everyone's standing. And when I started to talk at that 6 o'clock hour, it was like everyone just sat down and the hush came over the crowd. And it was so energized and so powerful, but it was like everyone realized, and just sat down and crying and tears. And it was, I look back at it now and my emotions were right up to my throat. It was hard.
But still, I mean, was that February 13th or 14th? Was it Valentine's Day or the day before? But it was.
I want to say it was the I think it was the 14th.
Was it?
The 13th, day before.
Yeah, and
Thank
so our crack pipe research
thank you.
crew. But
Yeah.
I think, I don't know anybody that didn't listen to that, whatever you call it, the CB, the
scanner.
police scanner. We were all listening to it, and I mean, that was just terrifying, right?
And it was terrifying. And we are not allowed to report scanner traffic. We cannot report that until we get an official, the Lansing Police tells us, the East Lansing Police, the state police, we have to get it confirmed via me, the news director, someone of authority. We cannot take scanner traffic. So people are like saying, they got him. And we could not say anything until we had an official word. It's our protocol. It's what we do. We won't do it.
Right, but that was a news story in itself, and because I don't know where you were. You were probably in the news station. I was in Charleston, South Carolina. But my buddy, who Steve Nichols, was sitting there. We were all listening to it. His son was sort of locked in at the business school.
He called me, Steve. Your friend, our friend, called me and said, my son is in the business school. This is what he's saying, and this is what, it's terrible, and do you know anything? And
Right, so...
Yeah, you don't forget.
That would definitely have been one of the big stories.
Yeah, and Nassar was a big story.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And I still do have a personal relationship, a working relationship with Luana. And Luana and I were cutting the ribbon on the brand new biomedical research facility. And I was doing a big tour and a special. And I had to ask her during an interview, point blank, about Larry Nassar. And she'd never spoken publicly. And I said, I have to ask you this question. And she said, I know you do. I know you do.
Well, she was she did a lot for Michigan State.
Right.
And I don't know anybody who worked with her who didn't think.
Oh, she's a brilliant woman.
She could be tough, but she was exactly what we needed at the right time. I mean.
So Nassar, I've also been sprayed with tear gas after one of the basketball riots, after.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
At Cedar Village?
I was reporting at Cedar Village.
Were you there working, or were you
working.
for the...
No, I'm too old for that. No, I was there working.
Those riots got a tremendous amount of attention, national attention, and I don't know that we ever handled them very well. They were sort of a cash cow for us.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, the people would come over, and I've watched all kinds of video, and I got to tell you, one of my favorite stories is the mom and son come in, and they're, my son got arrested, and he was there, and there was a bonfire. They weren't burning a couch, but they were, there was furniture.
They get quite big. Remember,
it was a big fire.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was a bonfire, and there's a picture, and there's a guy with no shirt on, and he has a stick. Or a 2x4, and it's flamed, and he was in good shape.
I think I can remember seeing that picture.
And he's holding it up, and we look at the picture, and I look at the mom, and most moms in that point are going to be like, disappointed that they're in with the lawyer, and you could just see the pride of the mom because the picture was just like. And I looked at the picture, I go, This is like something Oliver Stone would do. This photo is amazing.
It's iconic, right?
Amazing. And I think, I'm not sure we ever reacted appropriately. We didn't know how to react to that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad, but we had all been to Cedar Village and the parties. I mean, you had to have been there in college.
Maybe once or twice.
We were there about the same time. It was not the end of the world, but it was like, I don't know.
Were you in a fraternity or sorority?
No. Yeah. I had a fraternity I lived at 329 MAC. That's what we called ours. So 329 is right next to St. John's Church.
Oh, right. I know. Well, I was at 528 MAC.
Yeah. So that was
right down
our
the street.
Fraternity. We were at 329.
I was right down the street from you. Yeah, exactly. We were on opposite sides.
So. The General Motors was a big story.
Oh, yeah. Keeping GM.
Yes.
David Hollister.
Right.
John Rock. We golfed all the time together.
Yeah.
And Chris Holman.
Right.
But David Hollister, just a brilliant man. And everything that Ray Tadgerson, they came together.
What that meant for the city.
Huge.
Baseball stadium where you were working.
Lug nuts. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you covered that much history, and you do have to have a sense of when Lansing is doing well and when it's vibing and when it's sort of
Truly. And I think that Mayor Hollister took the city. He cleaned up the whole strip. He cleaned up that one part of Michigan Avenue where there were strip clubs.
Well,
and
the baseball stadium really made a difference.
And that was Mayor Hollister.
Right.
And then Mayor Hollister with Ray Tadgerson, because Ray was an engineer.
And Ray was?
Ray was the engineer of the project. Like, he actually took the footprint of the Grand River Assembly plant that was there.
Right.
And he's like, you don't have to build a whole new thing. You can put the brand new Grand River Assembly plant on this footprint. You just have to configure it this way. And he did it all the work. And then he presented to GM and they said, okay, we can. It was amazing. Like, he had this forethought. He showed them what they didn't even do anything. They're like, you're right, we can.
What would we be without that?
Oh, we would be destitute.
I mean, we hope to think that we wouldn't be destitute, but it would be completely different.
Oh, yeah.
City.
Oh, look at Flint. Look what happened in Flint.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it really takes a leadership of somebody to, make things like that happen. How do you feel when you go to downtown Lansing now, though?
Well, and Gentilozzi just announced his project, right? The Grand Tower. We're going to have the highest. I think Pat Gillespie's done an incredible job.
Right, he sure
incredible job. He's bringing apartments. He's bringing that really cool living style with retail, and then up on top you can live.
Pat's a golden boy, and I always say this about him. He epitomizes the anti of the saying "good people finish last." Not when it comes to Pat Gillespie, right?
Very well said.
He is he's
a great guy,
right? You don't know anybody that says anything bad about Pat, and if they do, you're like, what is wrong with you?
You're right. And bringing the grocery store. So downtown Lansing, you can have the places to live, lug nuts, and you can have the outfield. But if you don't have places to eat, or you don't have a grocery store, it was a food desert. That's what we call it, food desert. Right. And then he brought in that mini Meijer downtown.
Yes.
It's awesome. And then he brought the hotel. Right. And so now we just have to bring more
There's
life.
Something,
but the problem is
because we were 7 years ago, 8 years ago, downtown Lansing was an entertainment, place to go, and people were there at night. And of course, pre pandemic, the state employees, and now I go down there and it's like, man, this is like
we need to get them.
We've gone back,
right?
We've gone back in time a little bit.
Yeah, you're not wrong. No, and we need to bring people back downtown.
Right.
And so if this new project, which is going to be the tallest building in downtown Lansing, Paul Gentilozzi, there's other projects that he's been awarded, and I think that will change our skyline, that will bring more people. There's supposed to be a sky lounge. There's supposed to be a golf simulator. There's going to be a pool. There's going to be all these really cool things.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll be a foundation for, I say this all the time. Lansing can do fine without strong central business district, but it can't really thrive without that. And we've seen the businesses sort of move outside, but there says something when our downtown Lansing is really hitting its stride.
I agree. And so you take a look at Grand Rapids, right? Just a little ways down the road, an hour, 50 minutes. What they did is, and this is how I envision it, and my news director and I were talking about this, they forward face to the river. We turn our backs on the river. Like, the master plan for City of Lansing is a back-faced plan. You have a beautiful river. Face forward. Look at all the things on the river. Do you really see it? No.
And isn't it the same river?
It's the same river.
It's the same river,
Same river, the Grand River.
Right.
But they're forward facing, and we're back facing.
Yeah, so that's a big divide that you have to figure out how to overcome.
You have to change the master plan. You have to revise the master plan, and it hasn't been revised in many, many years.
So I would say, very successful news career, right? I mean,
well, thank you.
Award-winning, right? And not easy to do because you followed, I think, in big footsteps, right? And, Jane Aldrich was like, maybe this is a bad example, but would she be like Walter Kite at the time? Like, everybody looked to her for local news.
Definitely.
And it's impossible to really follow in somebody's footsteps, but you sort of did it without missing a beat.
Well, thank you.
Don't
That's
you
a
think?
high compliment.
Well, don't you think?
Well, you know,
I mean, I'm not trying to minimize Jane Aldrich at all, because I think highly of her.
Oh, me too.
And
We talk all the time.
right? But you know,
friends.
that's people don't talk about that. We always talk about things like who's going to follow and Izzo's footsteps,
Yeah.
or impossible to follow in D'Antonio's footsteps.
yeah.
But you did it, and nobody even questioned it.
Well, thank you, Andrew. I worked alongside her, so it was
Right.
very comfortable. There was no like new person feel to it because I'd already been there for a long
Right.
time. And also, I really invested in the community. Right.
And
I
that's
sacrificed
what I wanna
hundreds
talk
and
to you.
hundreds of hours of my own personal time, because that's what my grandparents did. That's what my parents did. So that's what I did. And that's what my children are doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And public service is not just, a small part of your professional life, is it?
It's huge. No. And people are like, do you get paid for that, or do they ask you to do that? And I said, no to either one. It's just in my heart. I have a servant heart. That's
and
who
you
I
have
am.
several organizations. Obviously, you've been affiliated with Crime Stoppers.
Yes.
That's a big one for
Huge.
you.
Huge. And the community is so much safer because of Crime Stoppers.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew, we will air three felons or four felons, and by the next morning, either they've turned themselves in, their
Felons.
mothers have
Maybe not felons. Maybe
fugitives.
Fugitives.
We only air people that have felonies.
Warrants.
Warrants.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so their mothers turn them in, their girlfriends,
Right.
ex-girlfriends
and
turn them
sometimes
in.
for their own safety.
Yeah, for
or
sure.
their own mental well-being. You
Right.
never know when somebody's gonna.
We just had that
Dude.
incident the other day with a young man running down the highway with knives,
Yeah.
in and out of traffic. And
Yeah.
so if we can help someone,
Right.
and sometimes
And then there's a few other things that you're involved in. Tell me what those have been.
child and family charities.
Right.
So back in 2005, with the help of, at the time, Congressman Mike Rogers, Jim Eppolito,
Right.
Representative Garcia, and the community, we raised about $2 million at that time to build Angel House, which is a home for abused and neglected kids, still in operation
Right.
in Mason. That was my first really big project, because I was a crime beat reporter, and I would go out with LPD and the START team after I anchored the news before children. So they'd be like, Jones, we got a raid. Come on, let's go. You want to go?
With
Film it?
Tri-County or
Tri-County
on the-
Metro.
on the drug stuff? Or
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there you
And
go.
Lansing START team.
Right.
And so they'd go in and raid a house. And at the time, the Supreme Court said I could go with my camera. I could go right in the house afterwards. No rules.
Right.
That changed, and then I could only stand on the sidewalk.
Jane Wigglesworth was big, sort of on those.
Oh yeah, I went up in state police helicopters and got to look for illegally grown marijuana. Oh yeah, one time
Yeah.
we took 10,000 plants out. I mean,
Yeah.
I got to do really
so that was
cool
fun.
stuff.
That was fun. That was
Yeah,
cool. And
yeah.
you have to be gung ho for it. You have to
Oh,
know
yeah.
what you're doing. And
Oh
you
yeah,
still have
and
to
they
report.
trusted me. They
Yeah.
trusted me, and that was a huge thing. And then
Right.
that rolled into Crime Stoppers, and here I am with that.
Yeah.
Still doing it. We
It's
have
a
our
big-
breakfast coming up.
So you pretty much no, you can never sort of mail it in, but you could have just cruised into, retirement and
Right.
doing specials
Yeah.
and then you flipped the switch.
Right. I didn't, I won't mail it in ever.
Right.
Last week, my co-anchor was off. I did 21 solo shows. I did the 5, the 6, the 11 by myself. And it might not sound like a lot, but it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
this is a lot for me. I do 1 hour of this, and I'm like exhausted. I mean, it's like how do people do this stuff?
And it's 90 minutes straight, 5, 5:30, and 6.
Right.
And you're in a show and you're proofing another show and you're listening to your director
Right.
and you're ad-libbing and you're,
And you got to be good at it.
and you have to not make a mistake. You're
You-
paid
you
to be
try,
perfect.
You try not to make.
You try not to
mistakes.
make, no, because you're paid to articulate and be perfect and smile and do all that.
timing, and and
Mm-hmm.
you're probably your biggest critic.
Oh, I am. I can't, I don't even like to look at myself. I am, but aren't you yours?
I try to be self. I think it's one of the criteria for getting better
Mm-hmm.
is you evaluate and criticize. You could be you're trying to be objective. And when you do things right, as many shows as you've done, when you've done it right.
Oh, yeah.
And you know when you've been great. You can always evaluate yourself in comparison. So you may have known, hey, I did a great job on this show. And then if you don't meet that standard,
I'm a perfectionist. I do not want to make a mistake. I get mad. Everyone knows. They're like, Jones, easy. It's okay. No one at home. They're cooking dinner. It's not a big deal. No, it is. It is. And you know what's kept my edge? I say to myself, what if someone's watching me for the very first time?
Right.
And either I have a great show or I stumble around and be like, who is this?
See, I feel like that's a great
I say it's attitude. My first.
I always think, we want to do a great job with every single case. And there's a certain standard. And, I can look at it and say, these are all the things we need to do, blah, 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 blah. And, you have a lot of people you rely on, right? You can't. Yeah. And you know what they're supposed to be doing. And so when they don't live up to your standard, it can affect the whole show. And it may not affect it today. You might be able to, but if you develop a bad habit, you know.
Oh, they know when they've messed up. Because we debrief after the shows and they come out. Yeah. And they'll come out with their tail between their legs. They know. Right. But they own it. All I expect of them is to own it and learn and go. Don't go, well, so-and-so. Oh, no. No. Tell me what happened. Figure it out. Don't let it happen again. And,
so how do you transition that to something else? How do you decide, have you announced what you're going to be doing?
Oh,
or is that a secret?
I haven't really. Actually, I'm going to form my own. I'm going to start my own voice company, and I'm going to do a lot of voice
Bob
work.
Olson?
Yeah, like Bob Olson,
right.
and play golf and have my voice work company.
The nicest guy I know, Bob Olson.
Oh, isn't he the greatest? I know.
But that's what he does, right?
Yeah.
Voiceovers,
and he started in radio, Q106.
Right. And so is that what you're going to be doing?
I want flexibility, really. My dad's 87. He lives in Ravenna still. And my sister's in Florida.
Lucky you.
I have,
Lucky you. Do you have
and
an 87-year-old dad?
I know. So lucky.
Right.
And I adored yours.
Yeah, thank you.
I did. I adored yours.
He had a few stories.
He did. A lot of them. We had good laughs. Yeah. Lots of good laughs. Yeah. But so I want to be flexible for him. I want to be available for him. And I always wanted to leave a day early and not a day late, Andrew.
Yeah, so I don't agree with, I don't disagree with that theory. I always think I've gotten so much out of the practice of law, I don't want to have anything left to give.
Okay.
When I leave, it's because I got nothing left.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, that's probably a day late. You don't want to be 2 days late or 5 days late.
No, you don't.
And my dad was great even till the end, but his hearing started to go.
Okay.
So it made him really hard. Your eyesight you think is important, but when you're in the courtroom, your hearing is critical. You need to be able to hear the objections and hear what the witness said. And so, it became kind of tough. He never lost his acumen for strategy and
brilliant man.
How to handle the case. But,
But it's television, Andrew. It's television.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's TV.
What's that mean?
I don't want to get that old lady off the screen kind of thing. You know what I mean? Men can age way easier than women on TV.
Has anybody ever said that about you?
No, but maybe not to my face.
and still live to tell the tale.
So I just know it's the right time. I
really?
Just do. 37 years, Andrew.
There's been a lot of change in the news business.
Yes, it has. Social media and Twitter and all that has changed a lot.
And when you guys used to cover a case I was working on, I don't know if you ever came, but there would be people that would come, television personalities.
Right.
And they'd bring a camera crew and maybe even a third person. When I was first... I think I did the Holland case, which you might remember.
Oh, yes, very well.
2006, but I did cases before that from time to time where, we'd get 2 or 3 people. And now we get a guy who's like a camera guy and can hardly ask a question, and you just want to help the guy out. And so you see that absence of... the reporter getting the firsthand story, and how does that affect the news delivery. If you want to talk to us about that.
Well, there's just, as in any industry right now,
Right.
they're just cutting back, right? Cutting back, cutting back. So we used to have 2 reporters and 2 photographers on Nightside. Now we have a photographer.
Right. And so tell me, and we see the same thing, not just in TV, but at the State Journal level. And yesterday, Joyce Dragonchuk was sitting in this chair, and she was telling me about.
I love her. Don't you? Isn't she
was
amazing?
Great. She was great.
Yeah.
She was really good.
Yeah.
And just like you. And she was telling me about a case she did, Bob Gross, who was the LSJ sports guy.
Oh, yes.
And
that was something.
Terrible.
Terrible.
But, back then, the State Journal had reporters and people, and, I think they have Matt.
Menarkin?
McCarney?
Yeah. I knew who you were speaking of. Yeah.
And so, but he doesn't even come to the court.
Yeah.
Kevin Gracia.
Yeah.
Remember him? He covered a lot of my cases. He covered certainly the Holland case in depth, and he covered probably, I think one of his last cases was the McCallum.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Was one of the best last cases. And then he left, and they don't even show up, I think, to the court. They'll call us afterwards or whatever.
And kind of do like an interview.
Yeah. Or they'll look, or, and so not that courtrooms are big in news, but they do affect people on a daily basis. They do galvanize sometimes what's going on. Obviously, we mentioned the Nassar case, but,
right.
Crime is a big deal in our community, and how those cases get resolved, and there's nobody that's covering it. There was a case recently in East Lansing, and I didn't see any talent there for sure, but they had the cameras there, and I'm wondering, are they just showing up with the cameras and plugging them in and leaving, or
putting them in the malt box and then heading out the door? No, they better stay with their camera.
I'm just wondering,
it's just the resources. It's all about resources, right?
But how does that affect the actual news that's being delivered? Are we losing out there? I mean, do we have any real investigative reporters?
Not
locally?
Like we used to. Not like we used to. Not like we used to.
And are we missing out?
Yeah.
Are we holding our government accountable, or do we have that ability? I mean, the whether it's TV or news or whatever. I know everybody has a camera now, so we can we can all be reporters. We can all be reporters, but is that something that maybe we're never going to see again? Well,
I think that, you take MLive, like we didn't have MLive before.
Right.
They have reporters. So those people can probably spend a little bit more time doing some more investigative things than we just cover the days. Now, if there's something on social media that piques someone's interest, they might go that way. But as far as like making calls and doing beats, and like I was the crime beat reporter, so I called every police officer, I called every attorney that I knew. That was my beat. We just don't have enough people to have specific beats now. Everyone's kind of general assignment, right? And you're just trying to get it done. And sometimes reporters have to do 2 stories in one day. They cover this topic for the 5 and then this topic for the 6.
They're in for 2 or 3 minutes and do the camera and out they go.
Yeah. So those deeper looks and they're more web-based now. Now we'll send a camera, and then the digital person will
Channel 6
do the interview.
Web page is what you're talking about.
WLNS.com.
Right.
And those are deeper dives. Those are more, that's where the investigative pieces come in, not the shorter.
And Channel 6 has somebody to do that.
Oh, yeah. We have a team. That's the growing part, Andrew. That's the growing part.
We have 5 people. Still available for people.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
But it's more it's more web-based. It's more digital-based. It's WLNS.com, not WLNS TV. It's the .com.
Yeah. No, I got it. I got it. Yeah, I mean, I was a regular follower we were a big advertiser for.
Oh, we hope you always are.
Your
billboards all the time, I see.
We were digital for a long time.
And it's huge. The views that are hundreds of thousands of views all the time.
Well, that's good to know.
It's great.
That's good to know.
It's a wonderful package to buy.
So tell me what your plan is for the next month.
Well, for the next month, I have today's interview. I'm going to be on Michael Patrick's show. I'm
Next week he's in town.
Yes, I'm going to be there.
Oh, yeah, good.
Yeah, and then I'm going to be interviewed by a couple of newspapers. I am going out to lunch.
Why not?
People want to give me awards. You know what, Andrew? And I'm going to be around. But I do want to start my own. I want to do freelance. I'm going to do freelance. And if something is intriguing to me, someone just made a trip to Ukraine and their media person backed out at the last minute. They called me and they said, are you done with your job yet? Can you come to Ukraine and be our media person? And I'm like, no, I can't, but I can in June. So right. I mean, I want to be able to embrace. I've traveled with the economic arm of the state of Michigan to China and to Japan. I've been to Africa. Like, I want to do more international goodwill and tell mini docs about that. I mean, I went to Africa. I took my camera. I did a mini doc on that. Won awards through the MAB for the Michigan Association of Broadcasters. I'm a great storyteller. I love getting at things, especially unsolved homicides. That's another passion of mine.
Right.
I've worked on 2 cases.
Do you think they'll ever solve Tracy
or Paige
Ronkowski?
There's so many theories out there.
Yes, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
I do think they will.
Is she about your age?
Yeah, she's a little bit. 'Cause that happened in '93.
Oh, it did?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
Did it?
I think so.
No, earlier than that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Is it 88?
80 in the 80s.
88.
Maybe before it. Was it 83?
You guys check.
Anyway, so she was in our era.
Oh yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, and Okemos girl and it's easy for us maybe to go about our lives, but beautiful girl.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You just wonder,
I have a theory. I believe, okay, if I'm driving down the highway, why am I going to pull over?
Right.
What's going to make me pull over? A police officer's going to make me pull over.
Right. Or car trouble.
Right.
Maybe she didn't have car trouble.
There was no car trouble. There wasn't.
Right.
Not to our knowledge, there was no car. So I'm going to pull over for a police officer. And then they're going to say, can you get out of your car? I'm going to go, okay, well, whatever, da-da-da-da. So she gets out of her car. Her purse is in the car is running, she's gone.
Yeah,
what are you going to, how are you going to get out? Why would you get out of a car?
More about it than I do.
Oh yeah, I'm going to get out for a police officer. I'm not going to,
they're not going to be too
and there
many
were no cell phones.
A child, maybe, right?
Right, yeah, but
not
I mean,
too many other things.
But there's no other evidence around. It's not like she skidded or there was a tire blowout or there's, no.
Yeah.
And then this latest report, someone said that they saw her at a park beforehand, and then
I mean they're tough to.
And Artis, her mom is in heaven now, so her sister's still alive.
Yeah, that's one that sort of most of us know about.
Yeah.
And I mean, fortunately we have the police have a lot of techniques that they can.
Oh yes.
Unsolved.
So I was working on this one unsolved homicide, and this new DNA technology came out that you can see the blood even after you've cleaned the wall. You can take this device, either a light or some kind of microscopic, to see if there's blood in there. And I said, "Oh my gosh, we have to use this for Nicole Haynes' unsolved homicide." So I went to LPD and I said, "Nicole Haynes, can we do this?" And they said, "We tore the house. The house is no longer standing."
Tell me about that case.
She was being kind of allowed to live in this place, to allow certain things to happen in this house, and she was murdered in this house. And they found the blood, and they found the blood in the house.
Right.
And I said, now we have this technology. It's probably the case 20 years old, and they said, no, the house isn't there anymore.
What about? Is it Benita White?
Yes.
Did you have a theory on that?
Oh, yes. The same theory you do.
I don't know enough about it. I get involved in cases where people come in and hire me. And when I get involved in those cases, I'm all in. And so, I have a passing, I read in the State Journal or watch on TV,
right.
And
Forensic Files came and interviewed me on a case that I did here.
which one was that?
It was Rebecca Huseman. She was murdered at.
Well, that's what the handcuffs.
No, she was actually murdered just as she got outside of her car when she was pulled into her house. And
Right.
but they arrested a guy down in North Carolina, and then when they went to his apartment, they saw all the newspaper clippings, and so they were able to put it together. And
Right.
so then
And that one, did that not have to be involved? Was that wasn't a case where they sort of matched handcuffs or so he had some kind of handcuff?
no, that was
was
David Draheim. That was
was
Jeanette
it?
Kirby.
Yeah, that was a terrible case.
That was
a horrible.
I worked on that case with Jeanette Kirby's mother for
Oh, you did.
16 years.
Well, tell me what that means.
When I worked on the case
Yes,
with her,
when you say you worked on it, obviously you're covering the case and
Right.
you're calling
right?
the
And I spent time with her. I spent time with parents of murdered children. I would check in with the police, and they'd say, "Well, this is where we are. You can say this." So I'd do another story, and then this would happen, and you could do another story on this. And I always try to keep, because police have all these other cases to
Right,
work on.
right.
I worked on that case with the police officers to make sure that if there's something I just needed to bring to the surface, just to remind, and also
Right.
to let the parents know, we haven't forgotten about you. You're not forgotten. Your daughter
Right.
or son is not forgotten.
which is critical.
It's critical.
Especially if you have kids. I mean,
Right.
you
Right.
have children, and that may be one of the reasons why you're sort of stepping away from a daily job.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're
grown.
They're graduated, right?
Right. And I got them through school and college,
And
and
they're moved away.
one is in Florida, or excuse me, one is moving possibly to Texas. One is in Chicago, and my daughter's here. So.
So yeah, so you still have places to be.
Oh
Sometimes.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So one of the things that make that difficult is we constantly have new police chiefs all the time now.
Right.
Much more difficult than you having a long-term relationship with somebody. But you push those news moments on behalf of the family and the victim.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And they're so appreciative.
You're like a creditor.
Yeah.
Who are you gonna pay? You're gonna pay the creditor that's calling you all the time, right?
And they do appreciate it. They do, and the police officers appreciate it because they can't do it all, but they want to know when I'm going to talk about it
Right.
so that they can be ready in case a tip comes in or something they have to work.
And you're not trying to make them look bad.
Oh
but,
no,
but
I am I am an advocate for law enforcement. Everyone
Right.
knows it. It's in my blood. I appreciate the police. I will do whatever the media can do to help the police.
and you're supposed to be objective.
I totally am 100% objective.
But is there a little bit of satisfaction when you know somebody is charged on a cold case, like either the ones, was it Hussman?
Yeah.
Or
Well, I just feel like
is there a part of you that says, like, you feel like you've done your job?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just put the facts out there.
Right.
Just the facts, ma'am, as they say. Just put the
Right,
facts out
right.
there,
But I mean,
and then other people do their job.
Maybe they would have never got that closure had you not pushed, kept that story alive. Maybe they would have, but maybe some part of you brought justice to the family. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, is there?
Well, I don't. Roy Luth, Krista Luth's dad. Krista was murdered by her boyfriend, and her dad just kept talking to the police, talking to the state police, and he would check in with me, and I would review her case, and I'd bring it up, and when certain things happened, I'd bring it up. When someone was charged on a different crime, I would bring it up, and that person finally was, convicted of the crime and is now in prison. But
So you got a smile on your face.
I know. Because as a reporter, sometimes you never know if these stories are going to come full circle.
Right,
So I
right.
think to be able to see a story come full circle, to see a parent who can give their victim impact statement
Right.
to the perpetrator, and to feel that and then to report on that, that shows the criminal justice system there is justice.
Well, there is something.
Yeah.
There's something, whether it's justice or not.
There's some emotional closure.
But, at least maybe the person didn't die unforgotten. The people,
Right.
it meant something, to the people doing their job and the police. And I do think that there's certainly a lot of interest in police departments to close those cold cases. And some of them, are just almost impossible.
Some of them are almost impossible. You are
Right.
not wrong. Some of them will never be closed. Some they have an idea,
Right.
but maybe that person's dead now. Maybe there's evidence that's gone.
Right.
Hence the story I told you about the DNA in the wall.
Right.
Sometimes it is what it is.
Let me ask you this. What do you think are the big stories coming up?
I think every day there's going to be a
in the next 5 years. What do you think? I mean, locally.
Locally,
I mean, the big one I think is how much longer is Tom Izzo going to do it? Right? Well, will that be a breaking story? I mean, that'll be hopefully for all the right reasons. When the time comes, he steps down and
right.
it's a smooth transition. But we've seen rather
Tumultuous.
A cute retirement.
Yeah, we have seen some, and like you said, it's hard to follow in someone's footsteps, but we love our university so much, and we
Right.
know our university's been through so much since 2018.
Right.
I mean, who would have thought until 2018 with Nasser and then the shooting and then the situation with the football program. And
Right.
I mean, it's been very, very difficult. And now we've had some basketball success. And it's only up to him. He's the only one that can determine whether
Right.
when the time is right. And he's so obligated. He's so obligated to the community, to the program, to his players, to the former players, to the past presidents, to the community, to the 600,000 alums. He's so obligated. So it's going to take something big for him to step away. Because he's healthy, he's happy, he's energized.
Yeah, I say, I should be careful, but I like to stay on his good side. But, he drives 4 miles or whatever
right.
and shows up at a gym. He's got a beautiful office and, he's never going to mail it in, but he's probably going to make the March Madness, and he's going to be competitive, and he's going to have great teams. And
yeah,
I don't know if you've been to practice, but it's kind of fun to be around and watch. And who wouldn't want to do that? Now, there's a lot of work behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of stress.
Oh,
but,
yeah. Probably more stress than we know.
as long as he's healthy, he's got a decent amount of time. But, there's stories like that we're all just kind of.
That's a big one.
Could be a game changer. Of course, always MSU football, right?
Right. It's going to, and they close practices now, so you can't go to practice. But I think a lot of that
I
is.
don't know if maybe I think I could get in if I wanted to get in.
Well, they close it to the media. You're Andrew Abood. You probably say, hey, let me
I
in.
hope I could still get in,
But you know what? Because of the NIL, because talent, and they're plucking, they're at these kids all the time, and they're trying to woo them away for different reasons, more playing time, money.
I think that's consistent with our new coach's mentality too. He's a low profile guy.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to run the show, and a lot at stake, and it's important for him to be successful. But we'll see. We're going to get a new governor here in a couple of years.
Oh, that's going to be a big one. And another, people just keep throwing their hat. John James just threw his hat in the ring.
What do you think about that?
Mallory just threw. Well, John James got a lot of money.
Does he? Have you met him?
I have not met him.
Yeah, no, I've met him a couple times. He's pretty good friends with Chris Elliott. So
okay.
I've met him.
Yeah.
I've met him.
Mallory McMurrow threw her name in. Duggan.
Right.
It's going to be very interesting.
And I'm not saying I'm a Mike Cox guy, but I know Mike.
Yeah,
I consider him a friend. He's a lawyer. He was part of the lawsuit against U of M, and I was part of that. So we would talk from time to time.
Yeah, he's a bright guy.
Yeah, yeah. So it'll be an interesting game changer, and we've been sort of so used to Gretchen for so long, you know.
Very
That seems
accessible,
like-
very,
yes.
yeah, very outspoken, very accessible. I think she has a meeting with President Trump today.
Today, that's what somebody told me, and she'll be.
So that'll be in the news.
And what do you think her plans are?
I think she's going to lay low, but I don't think she's, for a bit. I think she has big plans.
Does she?
I think so.
Well, maybe she'll take you with you.
I would love that. Because I'm unbiased.
Yeah, no, you'd be fit right in. Well, this has been an easy hour.
Oh, good. I can't believe it's been an hour. When my alarm went off for my news meeting at 2:55, I said, there's no way.
Yeah, this was great.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
I think we've asked you all the questions. You've answered them all.
Thank you.
We're going to watch what you're going to do next.
Okay, thank you. I'm excited.
Your commitment to the Lansing community. And I guess that's one question that, you could have gone anywhere, right?
Yes, I could have.
And you're not from here.
No.
But for now, you're basically from here, right?
Right. My whole grown-up life.
You've lived your professional here.
Correct.
Why do you think that was that you decided
It was a great place to raise my family.
to stay
it was
in
great.
Lansing?
And Rocco's family's from the Detroit area, and I'm
Right.
from West
Yeah,
Michigan.
So you could have picked up and gone anywhere. And
Yeah.
and you have a great look that would have been great in any
Thank you.
Major market for sure, right?
Thank you. Well, it was interesting. I've heard from a lot of my general managers, and one of them has bounced around from Sacramento to Portland. Now he's in Des Moines. He's in Wisconsin, Madison, and he sent me the most incredible email. Andrew, he's like, Sheri, you are the top of the line in all the anchors I met across the country. And I'm telling
Right.
you could have been one of the number one anchors in the country. No kidding. I mean, I don't like to talk like that about myself, but Andrew, it felt so good to see it from someone who's really worked for me, knows my work ethic, knows my standard of reporting, knows, and to say that he's been all around and he's like, you still are you could have done it. If you chose, you could have done it.
But no regrets.
Oh gosh, no, none. No regrets. No, because it's never, Andrew, if it was about the money, I would have left a long time ago. I would have. But it's never been about that.
I always ask myself, why didn't I leave? But then
Okay.
I don't think I was as talented as you.
No, that's not it. Stop.
I didn't have your looks.
No, but I mean, it's a personal decision.
Right.
I did this, right? I left Michigan State and I stayed here. My buddy, Drew Soicher, he was in sports. He was in every big market. He was in Tampa. He was in New York. He was in Portland, Seattle, Dallas. And we met up remember when Michigan State played Arizona State or Arizona out in Arizona for football that one year?
I was there.
So
It was Arizona State.
Okay, Arizona State.
So like 100 degrees.
It was 100 degrees.
Right.
So Drew Soicher was there, and our other buddy Matt was there, and they're like, Jones, oh my God, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, Drew, you've been all over the country. He goes, you did it right. I go, you're a millionaire over and over. And he goes, you did it right. You have a legacy.
Well, that's true.
And I said, well, thank you. And it really made me look at things like, wow. He goes, no, you did it right. You have a community. People love you. People look to you. You're credible. I go, I'm 5 years here and 5 years here and 5 years here. He goes, you have a legacy. It was really nice. And so that's why I have no regrets.
And you know what else I can say about you, which is probably a bad thing. Like whenever I run into somebody from Channel 6, I'm always like, okay, give me the dirt on Sheri Jones.
You're terrible.
Tell me something.
You
about,
are so
Tell me
bad.
something
You
about
are
her.
so bad.
Usually in a small town like this, right, we hear stuff about everybody.
Oh, I know,
right?
Andrew. I could tell you a few things I've heard about you.
Yes, and it's probably all true.
Not true.
But
I'm teasing you.
I don't know anybody that says anything.
Oh,
I mean, just give me something. Just, tell me she can't parallel park. I mean, anything, like.
And what do they say? They're like, oh my gosh, what is this man asking me?
Tell me she drinks, alcohol. I don't know what. Just give me something. She wears tennis shoes on, and she's got her suit on, but she wears jeans and whatever, anything, nothing. They can't, not one thing. So either you have great non-disclosures, or you're exactly who we've watched for all these years.
That's it.
And
Thank you.
and as much as you are grateful for that. Everybody in this community is grateful for everything you've done.
Thank you, Andrew.
This is great.
It means the world. Thank you,
yes.
Andrew.
I'm grateful that you came on.
I'm grateful that you asked.